So I want to share with you guys my patient's lab panel they brought in and kind of go over some things to look at specifically when we're looking at a lipid profile or someone's cholesterol. So a lot of times people will be kind of concerned on a number they might get based on their total cholesterol, and it's really important to understand where that number is actually coming from. So in this case, this patient is now listed at a 270 cholesterol, which most people will say is very high or on this level where they might want to recommend a statin. And we're going to look at here and see is that actually the case, or is there more details to kind of hash out. So this number, total cholesterol, is an equation that's come up with by adding your LDL, or we typically will call your bad cholesterol, your HDL, or we often will term as your good cholesterol, plus a function of your triglycerides, specifically 20% of your triglycerides. So again, this case, this patient's at 270. Let's kind of deep dive a little bit more and see how we get to that number and decide what's really the best situation for them. So in terms of looking at their triglycerides, we notice a couple of things here. So they were at 122 in their most recent lab panel. If we look in the past, they've been at a very nice low number. So most scientific consensus would say that we want to stay under 150. In my opinion, we want to do that as well as stay as low as we possibly can. And we notice that they are doing fantastic, and then all of a sudden we have a blip here. So if we look at the date, this was in last month of January 23rd of 2025. That's right after holiday season. So a lot of times people will have, more sweets, more alcohol, more fatty foods, things that will artificially increase their triglycerides level. So that is something to kind of look at. We're going to definitely want to monitor that and see if we can get them back to these fantastic numbers they had before. But that could explain why they might have artificially had a bit of a bump there. And again, they're still in a safe zone too. So now let's take a look at their HDL, or their quote unquote good cholesterol. So HDL, we want to see at least over 50, and actually most studies are showing that the higher the better, the more protective it is for the heart itself. So in this individual's case, they've been pretty high, hovering from anywhere from 80 to even at one point 112, and then this last one they're at 92. So they're doing fantastic there in that regards, though well over it. The other thing we want to look at is what is that ratio of HDL triglycerides. So again, more and more studies are showing that so long as your triglycerides are not 2 to 2.5 times your HDL, you're doing really well. So in this case, this individual is almost a 1-to-1 ratio of their HDL to triglycerides. So they're really doing fantastic. This tells us that they do a really good job of eating healthy fats and meats, and they're likely also working out really hard too. So again, when we go back to that total number of a 270 cholesterol, again, we have their HDL, we have their triglycerides, they're doing fantastic on that. Their high HDL is actually increasing that total cholesterol number, and that remaining amount is their LDL, or their bad cholesterol. So this person might be told that they should go on a statin, and I just don't think that's a really fair portrait of the whole landscape, what's going on there, especially when we don't do any specific testing to look at their LDL to see what particles of their LDL